But I also want to get to this other thing that he's doing that, again, it works with the MAGA base. Lana and I had this conversation a little bit, and I brought this up before. She does not think that when we talk about the post-abortions and that the baby is killed after the post-abortion, this rhetoric and this crazy, ridiculous narrative they keep bringing up, she thinks that the MAGA voters don't even believe that. And I said, I think that really, truly, some of them do. But of course, here, and this is the reason why, because this guy, like Paul McGuire, who in my comments just said that he's the only one that speaks the truth. This is what he says about abortions. And if Paul, if you're still joining me, listen to this comment and tell me if you believe that this is true.
Florida's abortion referendum in November. How are you planning to vote on Florida's abortion referendum this November?
By the way, he had a lot of time hearing today. He had a lot of hearing problems. He had a lot of hearing problems, too, when he was interviewed by the National Association of Black Journalists. But he did a lot of, but like the old senile guy that he's become.
Well, I'm going to announce that. I'm going to actually have a press conference on that at some point in the near future, so I don't want to tell you now. But Florida does have a vote coming up on that. And I think probably
wrong one. Okay.
A little more liberal.
Hold on. We'll go back to that one. I want to go back to the one where he was asked about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think this is it.
Radical. The Democrats are really the radical ones on this because they're allowed to do abortion on the 8th and 9th month and even after birth. If you look at your new governor from Minnesota, he's like the governor previous, the former governor. I don't want to get him mixed up because
I'm really not even sure what he's saying.
Glenn is doing a good job, and he's leading our whole campaign in Virginia, Glenn Youngkin. But previous to Glenn, the governor, he said the baby will be born. We will put the baby aside, and we will decide with the mother what we're going to do. In other words, whether or not we're going to kill the baby. The Minnesota gentleman, this guy agrees with that. He is the
Okay, he obviously doesn't even know what he's saying himself, but he's claiming again that Tim Walz has said that we can have these babies, right? And after they're born, if we need to just off them, we're going to off them. I mean, that's just the way it's going to be because I'm a radical left Democrat. Nobody's ever seen anything like me before. So, if we need to kill this kid, then we're just going to kill him because that's what we do. That's what we do as Democrats. Paul, if you're still with me, is that something that you believe? Do you believe that Democrats are asking for post-birth it's just so stupid to even say out loud that I have a hard time getting through it. Do you believe the Democrats believe that there are post-birth abortions? Baby Juggernaut is with us. Good evening, Baby Juggernaut. And yes, you are correct. He actually is insane. He's nuts. But let's go back to the clip that I was playing here. Sorry, my clips are a little bit off here, but I want to make sure that we are. Sorry here, guys. I don't have a producer or somebody that is helping me out here, so I'm going to have to kind of mess around with this and make sure that it's correct. But he was asked because now he does live in the state of Florida, so that's where he's going to be voting. He's going to be voting in the state of Florida, and on the ballot for the state of Florida is an initiative for abortion rights. There's also an initiative for marijuana. And if you watched our last show, I did mention that because of these two initiatives that Florida, a lot of people believe Florida has a chance. Florida has a chance to pull it out. Now, if you're looking at betting odds here, because I'm a gambling guy, I like to gamble. I like to gamble on sports, and I understand the odds on things. And I won't make it too complicated, but let's just put it this way. The favorite to win Florida is going to be Donald Trump. And I think before first of all, the ballot initiatives, before they came onto the ballot and before Kamala Harris and Tim Walz came on the ballot, I think Donald Trump would be considered what's called a heavy favorite, which means it's almost impossible that he was going to lose Florida. But now that we have the ballot initiatives, and now that we have Kamala Harris and Tim Walz on the ticket, that huge discrepancy in his favoritism of winning has shrunk significantly. So they still have 3 months to make up ground. I think they're still going to be behind in Florida. But, you know, they're going to have a chance. And I think a part of that chance is going to be, and, you know, one of the reasons, and just before I continue, one of the big reasons why Florida is going to be hard to win. Florida has made a big shift since Obama won and by the way, I live in the state of Florida, if you did not know. But Florida made a big shift where there were more registered Democrats than there were Republicans. Now there are significantly more registered Republicans than there are Democrats, but there are a ton of independent voters here in the state as well. So that's where people feel like Florida has a chance, because we're going after those independent voters. We're going after those voters who once were voting for Donald Trump, and now they're going, yeah, man, I'm over this shit. I can't do this with this guy anymore. We've got to get rid of this. Even if I have to grit my teeth and vote for somebody I don't love, I'm still going to vote for her, because we've got to end this madness. We just absolutely have to end it. In fact, I was telling somebody today, you know, we're talking about the dynamics of this race, and I literally have never, in my years of following politics, I've been following politics for over 25 years, never once in an election race have seen groups of people form from their own party that's against their own candidate. In other words, the Never Trumpers, the Republicans for Harris. There's all these kinds of groups. Almost half of Trump's administration, including his vice president, said, I will not vote for this guy. There's no way I'm voting for Donald Trump. Some of them have even said, I will vote for Kamala Harris, because that's the American thing to do. Lana and I talked about this on our last show. The bottom line is this. By the way, Lana and I had said, we both want a functional Republican Party because we feel like that is important to this country. But these Republicans, real conservatives, understand that if Donald Trump wins, that their conservative party is dead. It is dead. So in order to get their party back and to have any chance of reviving what the Republican Party was and what the conservative movement was, they have to defeat this MAGA movement that is so fucking crazy, that they understand how crazy it is. So when you have your own party people voting against Donald Trump, I don't see that happening on the Democratic side. If anybody out there sees it and can specifically show me some sort of group that has been formed, like Democrats against Harris or Democrats against Biden, or and I'm talking about a significant movement. I'm not talking about a couple of clowns that you see on social media. I'm talking about a real one, or Never Harris or anything like that. Let me know. I'd be interested to see it. But anyway, Donald Trump was asked whether or not, or how he was going to vote in the upcoming election on abortion, and this is what he had to say.
How are you planning to vote on Florida's abortion referendum this November?
Well, I'm going to announce that. I'm going to actually have a press conference on that at some point in the
2
near
weeks.
future, so I don't want to tell you now. But Florida does have a vote coming up on that, and I think probably the vote will go in a little more liberal way than people thought. But I'll be announcing that at the appropriate time. Please.
How did anybody think this guy is smart? He was asked a very simple question, and his answer was, I'm going to announce that soon, and that there is an initiative on the ballot, and I think that it could go one way or the other. I don't understand how anybody looks at this guy as a serious candidate. I don't see how anybody looks at this guy that has an ounce of intelligence. I mean, it doesn't matter.